brothers? How y'all doing?
Good, man.
Good. Yeah. All right, welcome to the Purple and Gold Table Talk, Kappa Iota edition. Today we're going to talk about boys to men. So we have you fine gentlemen here that have transitioned from undergrad to graduate to just grown-ups out here in the frat. So we're going to talk about like what that experience is like, how you describe your decision-making process, what made you join, and then all the way up to, where you're at today in life and how the frat has treated you. So we'll go ahead and get started. And first question is,
Well, let's tell the people who they are. Let them introduce themselves.
My bad. Yeah, you're right.
All right. Pass it off to you, bro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Erskine Oglesby, Roadside, 1975.
Mario Beck, Ada Beta, 1994, 30 years.
Woo! That's a dirty 30. Chris Mays, 417 Kappa Iota.
All right. Justin McBath, 322 Kappa Iota. All right.
Now let's get into
it. Appreciate that, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if it ain't written down, I'm going to forget.
Hey, that's all right, man.
So first off, we're going to ask y'all. Erskine, you get to go first. So can you describe your decision-making process when joining the fraternity?
Yeah, well, it actually was mentors. When I first got to Tennessee State University, my advisor was an Omega. I didn't know it at the time, but I know he was a really cool dude. He was young and, very caring. And I had a couple of, one of my lab professors was a Q. And, once again, he was young and really hip and very knowledgeable, very academic. And then during the intramural process, I saw how the Qs, at the time I was somebody observing, interacted with each other, the brotherhood and the caring. And one particular incident, they were playing a softball game, and the Qs was like the team to beat, but they got beat. But when it was over with, everybody went, hugged, shook hands, and then went down to this pub and celebrated. And I thought that was real cool because I had been in an environment where if you lost, that was almost like the end of the world.
Yeah.
And that showed me that no matter what happens, we're a brother and we're going to celebrate and we're going to stay together. You can't put all that thing together. That really touched me. One of the other things was they were real casual. Whereas some of the other fraternities were a lot more. Yeah, well, they were a little, pretentious, a little stuck up-ish like. But the Qs was just, jeans, shirt, dapping, down to earth. And that really, really impressed me. And I put all that together and I said, that's the way I want to be. Because going to Tennessee State University, I had never been around a Greek organization or anybody Greek for that matter. So, you put all that together and I was like, this is the way I want to be. And lastly, on that question was academically, I was a healthcare administration major. So a lot of my class was at Meharry. But we had like engineers, pre-med, pre-law. So, on the surface, you're like, oh, these guys, they raunches, they in basket weaving class. They doing clay pots, trying to get out of school. But then, when I got to know them, leading up to the interview and then doing the pledge process, how intelligent, great personality, but they was about business. And I said, that's what I want to be. And that's what drew me to pledging and eventually becoming Omega Psi Phi fraternity.
All right. Mario, same question.
Well, for me, it was a little similar, but a little different. Most of mine were, my high school principal, my middle school principal, and he was actually my basketball coach. He was Omega. My high school basketball coach was an Omega. Some of the guys I knew around just in the community were Omega men. So I really, honestly, didn't know of really any other fraternity growing up but Omegas. I really didn't see any other Alphas, Sigmas, or Kappas or anything like that. Everybody I kind of encountered and interacted with were Omegas. Quite conversely, though, when I got to UTC, I didn't see the Omegas. I didn't see the Qs. I was just like, what the Qs at? You know, I mean, honestly, the alphas were pretty prominent on the campus. Didn't see really the others that much. The Kappas was, but you know, but for me, I was already looking for Omega. I mean, I was really looking to see, okay, you know, where were they? And when I found out, you know, there was like an interest meeting, you know, I jumped on that from the start. And so, and it was, again, just, you know, all the guys and all the men that I was around growing up as a kid, coming through middle school and high school, were Omega men. And, you know, they were just very impressible. You know, they were really upstanding men in the community. They was hardworking. And, you know, that's what I was seeking. A lot of them were educators, and I was an education major. So it was just kind of like a natural flow for me. And because, you know, my aspirations from the start was Omega. It was, I really, honestly didn't really know of any others at the time. I knew there were others, but didn't know about others. You know, I didn't really know anybody that was in those organizations.
I got you. No, that's a common thread that when you talk to brothers in Omega, somebody at some point in their life, unless it's those who, you know, just learned about it once they got to college, pretty much everyone else had somebody in their life who was an Omega who played a major role. Mm-hmm. All right, so back to Erskine. This next question, how do you believe being a part of a fraternity has impacted your personal growth and development?
I'd say it's the brotherhood. It's the bond that has been established over the years, particularly starting with the, I guess I'll be using some of the older terms, particularly those doing the pledging process. Mm-hmm. You know, interacting with my line brothers doing that process. And although there's a lot of stigma and misconception about that process, it was really a process where we got to know each other. And we was given a reason on why the madness was the way it is, but you know, we all came through it together. And that taught me about building relationships. And that's key to everything that I've done, is establishing those relationships and looking at your resources. And you know, it's just been a positive experience. And then interacting, it has taught me how to interact with people outside the fraternity, and being able to appreciate and accept who they are and what they are, whether they, you know, another Greek organization or ethnic group or somebody that just simply has a different opinion than me. So it has helped me to be open-minded, and it also has helped me to deal with the seasons in life. You know, that, you know, they come and they go. Good times don't last forever. Bad times don't last forever. And that mostly was attributed to that pledge process, because we had some good days and we had some real challenging days. But I'm here today and now. Yeah. So it really has taught me to balance life and to appreciate life and appreciate those times that are before me. Not take it too serious, but don't take it as anything that should be taken for granted. And that's what's so great. That's what's been so great about being a part of Omega Psi Phi, because to this day, my closest friends are Omegas. And, you know, and no matter what's going on in my life right now, I can always approach a brother and for support. You know, I was going through something at one time, and Mario, just out the clear blue sky, he was like, bro, everything gonna be all right. If you can't be around a brother with whatever's going on, then you can't be nowhere. And that was really helpful during that particular period of time. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, you know, with that.
Gotcha.
What about you, Mario? Personal growth and development.
Man, you know, the principles of Omega, man, is what I live by. You know, like you said, you know, that process, man, you know, people, you know, kind of talk about the process and, you know, try to, you know, put it down and say certain things, but the process, man, it built you. It also showed you who you were. And in different times and different places in life, you have to kind of walk back to that and say, man, you know what? You know, just like the poem, See It Through, that I have it always on my wall. Wherever I'm going, where I'm working, it's on my wall, because I always have to tell myself, you're facing what other men have met. You know, it's nothing that, you know, you can't do, because somebody has gone through this and somebody has made it through this. You talked about, you said, you appreciate life. I was thinking like, yeah, you appreciate life because you made it through that process.
Exactly.
But you appreciate, you think about it because that process is different. The process we come through is like, man, is this ever going to end? Yeah. Is it ever going to stop? And you sometimes in life, you get to those moments where you like, man, is this ever going to let up? Is it ever going to stop? Am I ever going to get to the other side of this, situation, this trial that I'm going through? And you think about that process you went through, and you felt that same way then. Yeah. And it was a process, in a time frame that you had nothing to do with, and you didn't know when it was going to end. And so, and that's the things in life. And so, really, the principles of Omega, I used to tell my LBs a lot of times, because sometimes, even after we had crossed, started going through trials and things, I said, man, the things we learn, things that we, even walk with now, you got to carry that in life. It's not just stuff that we really just challenge each other with. It's things that if you listen to it and you think about what you're saying, think about what you're asking, those are principles of life that you can carry with you as you're going through trials and tribulations or dealing with things or dealing with people or whatever it is that's going on. So, I enjoy, that process, but then I enjoy the time through Omega to the point where I meet a lot of different people and meeting different brothers. I met a brother just the other day. I was sitting in my office. He was coming out of the conference room, and he was just like, man, I like that bag right there. And then right there was an instant connection. I mean, somebody, I just met him, just saw him. First time I ever seen him. But I love that because, you meet that person for the very first time, and all of a sudden you have an instant connection, and then now it just spills over into other things. You start having other conversations. You just start talking about different things, and people sometimes be looking like, "Hey, how long you know him?" No, I just met him. And we sit there and talk for 30 minutes. We just wherever it may be, and so that's a lovely thing about Omega, is the fact that you never meet a stranger.
It's always crazy to see, other people's, like outside people's reactions when they see us meet somebody for the first time. Like I was in Savannah 2 months ago for work, sitting in the airport, little Savannah airport with my coworkers, upper management and all that. And me and my brother, he just had to be coming through. Locked eyes, went, talked about 5 minutes. He had to catch his flight, but we came back like, you guys already know each other? Nope, but same fraternity. And so it's that same type of energy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So along those same lines, though, just thinking about it, can you share like a specific experience or challenge that you faced as a member of the fraternity and how you overcame it?
As a member of the fraternity?
Yeah.
Man, it's been a minute. I mean, think about one in particular. I don't know. I mean, I think about, really for me, I think that transition from undergrad to professional life and then trying to transition into the graduate chapter was a challenge for me, because for me, transitioning from undergrad to professional life, I was also transitioning to a husband and father and all those different things all at the same time. And, in those times, sometimes, for me also being here in Chattanooga, I have no family here. So all of my family is Memphis, Mississippi, and different places. And so no one to really say, hey, man, I'm going through, or hey, dad, I can call my dad, but it's not like, you're right there, hey, man, I need to talk. So, when I was dealing with things as a young husband, as a young father, being able to call on certain brothers and just really, and what I would say, I want to call them older seasoned brothers that, they have been through what I'm going through. They on the other side of it. They can really talk to them right. Because, other than that, I had really no one to talk to, and so that was a help for me. I can't pinpoint any one particular thing, but just coming through that period of time in life, it was rough, because I was also young. I mean, I got married at 24. I had my son at 25, so I was pretty young, and then I was starting off in my teaching career, and so a lot of that was a lot of It was a lot of struggles. It was a lot of back and forth, a lot of financial struggles, different things going through. And so just having, a brother that I can, talk to was very helpful.
What you got, Erskine? I know you guys are challenged.
Oh, yeah, I look like a challenge, don't I? Yeah, it's pretty much what Mario said, transitioning from, the undergrad to, your professional life, and then eventually to the grad life. And I guess, I don't know if she would say it, but I've got a unique benefit of knowing my wife when I was going through the pledge process. So she's been through a lot of interesting times with me. I tell people sometimes, we got a son where she actually has a son. She raised two boys. Yeah. One of them was me, because she was a lot more settled.
When you were a boy to a man.
Right, yeah. So, going through that transition, leaving Tennessee State, because I had a great time as an undergrad. And when I was getting ready to graduate, but I'm just saying, when I graduated, it was some folks like, I was at the the dinner for graduates, and they was like, "Man, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm at the dinner." Said, "I thought you was waiting tables, man. What's up?" I said, "What do you mean?" Said, "Man, you had such a good time, and I always see you out there. I always see you doing things." I was like, "No, that was just one side of me." I said I had a purpose in coming to Tennessee State University, where y'all just saw that one side that was free. Y'all didn't see me 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon when I was in study hall. Because one thing that I liked about going through the process with Omega Psi Phi, where as a chapter, we had study hall together from 3 to 5 over at one of our brothers' apartments. So we would get there. I had a thing for drafting, so I would help the brother with engineering with his drafting while he helped me with my math. So we was always had a time away from the crowd that we were doing things productive. But that transition was very interesting because I moved to Houston. And that was back in the late 70s when Houston was this wild and willy urban cowboy era, and being a young father with a young child. And there was still a lot of racism going on. So we're down there trying to find a place to stay. Now here I am, a graduate from Tennessee State University, Meharry Medical College, got a job at a hospital, and I'm trying to find an apartment. And I called this one lady, and very nice lady. And at the end, tell her I'm married, got a child, looking for some place to stay. This is where I work. And at the end of the conversation, she said, "Young man, are you colored?" And I said, "Well, it depends on what color you ask." It was a real conversation, Because, what do you mean? She said, "Are you black?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." She said, "I don't rent to blacks." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you," hung up. Good conversation, because she was honest, didn't put me in a situation. Yeah. But, dealing with those things right out of college, trying to start a family, doing the right thing. And but that was the reality of it. And, just moving on to my professional life, going through the politics of your professional life, trying to, climb the corporate ladder. Mm-hmm. But there was always a brother around that say, "Look, don't worry about that. This is what we can do. This is where we can go." And it was a lot of times brothers I didn't even know. Mm. So our reach is so expansive when it comes to social and emotional support, which is something that I think needs to happen more now, that social emotional support. But eventually, and eventually, I joined the grad chapter and start becoming more active with the fraternity. But it was a challenge, but I made it through. So right. I mean, this story can go on and on.
Yeah, we all
because I'm a lot older than y'all. So, but that was pretty much the challenge, going from undergrad to professionalism to eventually getting into a grad chapter. And fortunately, I had a girlfriend that turned in to be my wife that was there. Very mature, very godly woman that supported me each step of the way. We supported each other, but I think I needed it more than her. She was more mentally stable than I was.
Got you. So speaking of these transitions, getting in the grad chapter, then climbing the corporate ladder and the professional ladder, how do you think your experience in fraternity has prepared you for leadership roles in the future?
I would say for me, it was kind of instant because when we crossed, I was probably in the fraternity probably a year in undergrad before I was actually thrust into the role of boss. Because the older guys, they was graduating and moving on, and so some of us was still on campus, and so you have to run the chapter, and so a lot of that kind of helps because you learn things as you're doing them. You also have those mentors that are helping you, but then you start seeing other aspects of the fraternity as well. Because for me, for the first maybe year and a half, it was just the cubes. I mean, it was honestly, we were just out. We were road tripping. We was going here with being there. And then when I finally went to a district meeting, you really saw order. You saw men in a room with a meeting and running it in a certain way to let you know, okay, this can be done without a whole lot of fussing, yelling, cussing. You can have an organized meeting, and you just got to know the proper way of doing those things. And a lot of that helped me coming in because I was then transitioning to being the bosses of the undergrad chapter. And, it wasn't a lot of us. It was, about 6 of us at the time? Mm-hmm. And so still trying to just get things together, it helped me to know that I couldn't do it all by myself. I had to delegate. And, sometimes, as you know, in delegation, things don't get done. Yeah. But, we had a way. And sometimes our way wasn't, always, the
best way.
Yeah, the political way. But, but when we came to meetings, and the one thing that helped me to understand the difference where it was, okay, when we're not in meetings and we're just hanging out, we can talk business and we might not be talking things the right way. But, brothers, when we come into this meeting and we know we're in an official meeting, this is how the meeting is going to run. Hands down. Don't come with anything else. And, you learn to check people when they came in with, the same kind of way that we would handle each other outside the meeting. No, bro, that's not how we do things like this. Y'all want to do that? Y'all can wait till after the meeting and whatever. Mm-hmm. But right now, this is how we do it. And so that, because me being young, I'm 19, 20 years old. And, I'm trying to lead men, some older than me, some the same age as I am, and trying to get things done, organized, and making sure that we're handling things the way it should be handled. And some of it was stuff that we just wanted to do, throwing a party. Throwing a party, did it with a lot. Somebody got to call the DJ, somebody got to get the building, somebody got to get security, somebody got to draw the flyer. We didn't have all this technology that we had today. So you hand drew the flyer, took it to Kinko's to get it copied. You know what I'm saying? And everybody had a role.
I love coming across those old
hand-drawn flyers, $5 entries, whatever we did. And so, but the thing about it is understanding that even after that meeting, you had to check up on people. And so that, in a sense, kind of helped, propel me into that leadership role in terms of, what has to be done. You got to create a plan of what has to be done. You got to organize that plan, and then you got to make sure it's being carried out. And that kind of transitioned into my role as a teacher and then as administrator moving forward. That, you may have the full plan, but other people have to carry it out, and you sometimes have to check and make sure they're carrying out what they're supposed to do.
Gotcha. Urson, good question.
Yeah. Same thing. For me, coming as an undergrad, I was the keeper of finance. So when I took over the keeper of finance, we had very limited funds because the transition wasn't so smooth. But that was okay. That was just young guys, doing what they do, not being responsible, not being organized. Mm-hmm. So having to recoup us to a financial situation where we can operate, because unlike now, we didn't have the support of the grad chapter or even the district that if we needed some financial support, we had to go out and find it ourselves. So I wound up being keeper of finance, but also wound up being the gig chairman, which is the one that really provided social action. Mm-hmm. And one of the big things that we did that got us back off the foot, got us back on financial track, was we did a bus ride to Texas Southern during the football season. So, and all the fraternities was having buses, but what we did was, for your $35, whatever it was, you got your ticket, you got liquor on the bus, and you got a ride there. So so it was going real well. So all of a sudden, the other groups wasn't selling so well. You know, all they was offering was a bus ride down there, and you get your ticket the best way you can. So all of them reneged. So everybody bombarded us about, we want to go, we want to go. So we were challenged with trying to find another Greyhound bus. So what we did, one of my LB, Dog 20, he knew Joe Black. He knew somebody that knew Joe Black at Greyhound. So he called to see if we can get another bus, because they wouldn't give it to us down at the Greyhound bus station in Nashville. So he was able to arrange that bus. So now he was like, Erskine, we need, Troll, Troll, okay, you need to get us some more deposit money. So I took up the hat, got it together, and was able to get that second bus, blew it up, same, you get free refreshments, tickets, and all that stuff. So what it did was it taught me how to use your resources and use the people around you that has those resources. So, that was the beginning of knowing as an administrator that you need to depend on your people. And one thing that taught me moving forward in leadership is, when you got people around you that do what they do and they do it well, let them do it. Let them do it. Don't interfere. Lead. Don't direct, or don't, tell them what to do. And that's been one of the things when I've gotten evaluations, like, man, your people jump through the roof for you. And I said, well, you got to ask them that. But I respect their abilities and I respect their jobs. Because only one thing, and the other thing that I learned in being a leader, that I learned from being in the fraternity, is that I would tell staff, look, if you have a problem, you make a mistake, that's okay. Let me know on the front end. Don't let me know on the newspaper.
We can handle it.
We can handle it. Yeah. I said, look, as a team, anything that happens good in the organization, you did it. If there's problems within the organization, then I didn't do something wrong. As long as you keep it on the front end, and some kind of way I've learned that as an undergrad, and it's been done pretty well, because people, staff respect you and would do anything for you. Right. And, it has led to positions on the district level. At Kappa Iota, I was the KRS, and then I was Bosselus. And then I served on the scholarship committee, talent hunt, and whatever else we had. If I wasn't the chair, I participated. And all that led to me being on the budget committee on the district level. And I was the only non-DR on that committee. And when the position opened up for the district keeper of finance, because I had been participating on that level, I became the district keeper of finance. And actually, I was like the longest running district keeper of finance they've ever had, because I lost track after 6 years. But that only happened because they changed the bylaws, and I was in the middle of the bylaws, so I had to do like two or three more years. So, from that, that undergrad experience and learning has helped me in leadership positions corporately and on the district level in our great fraternity.
Gotcha.
I think some of it as well. I'm just But Omega makes you think on your feet too. Because sometimes you're thrust into situations and environments that you just got to survive, and you got to figure out how to do it quickly. Yeah. And I think sometimes on our jobs and different things, situations come up, things happen, and you got to be able to give an answer quickly. And so I think part of being an Omega makes you,
agile thinking.
Yeah, quickly. Because look, if you're not, you're gonna survive. You ain't gonna survive the moment. So you better come up with something real quick.
Yeah. And it actually starts with the pledge process, like we were talking.
Absolutely.
You gotta be quick on your feet.
Yeah, you gotta be quick on your feet, quick on your mind, and you gotta be tough.
Definitely.
Gotta avoid the big eyes. So considering all of that, so this rolls into the next question. So considering all of that, so of all the principles that we have in the fraternity, which ones have influenced you guys the most? So,
all of them.
All of them. But I feel like everybody's got to have their favorite one. I know it's tough.
Yeah. Perseverance.
Okay.
Perseverance.
Okay.
Okay, if I just had to pick one, that's the other thing I teach.
That's
my
when
staff.
it popped in my head too.
Yeah. I got another thing. I tell my staff, you got to make a decision. Okay, you just can't leave it out there. But yeah, perseverance. Everything that you've heard me talk about, and what we was talking prior to this. That those seasons in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when you're young, something happens, you think it's the end of the world. You think it's not gonna ever end.
Right.
And what you learn through perseverance is, you got to take the good times with the bad times. And you just have to be tough, but you have to be fair, and you have to be understanding and not take things personal. I often tell people you can't take it personal, you can't get too emotional behind it, otherwise you lose your perspective. Now that can be hard to do, but perseverance would be the one that I would rely on, and then all the rest of them would follow suit. Since you forced me to make a decision.
Quick on your feet, see?
There you go.
For me, definitely friendship. It's friendship, because when you think about a friend, the attributes of a friend that, a friend will never leave you, never want to.
Never turn his back on.
Absolutely. And I've experienced that a lot, man. As undergrad, man, the friendship just in the bros, is interesting because I remember going on road trips. We were young, dumb, and stupid. We would go on road trips not having a place to stay. I went to district in Western Kentucky, man, and I did not have a room. I did not. And, we kicked it with the bros for all night. It was like, I don't know, we got back to the hotel probably about 2 o'clock, and I was looking around like, bro, hey, I don't have a room. Bro, come on up here. And I slept on the floor. That was okay. I slept on the floor.
Then you have room.
Right next to you. like I'm going to take the bed, right?
They're going to let you sleep in the lobby.
But, right. But then, you get in and you there, and, but for me, I get up, went to the meetings the next morning, the next day, I stayed in some other bro's room. They was in another hotel. Just that friendship and having that, and just knowing that no matter what, you have somebody that you can rely on, depend on, and they're not going to let you be without. Be hungry, be just left destitute. And I think that's one of the things I love about Omega because, as we talked about, we don't meet strangers. And if I met somebody for the very first time, and I feel like if I really need something in that moment, that brother would help me, no matter what it was. If it was in his means to do so, he would help me. And so I love that about us. So friendship, for me, is one of the greatest principles that we have in our organization.
And that really ties into the next question I was about to ask. So Erskine, maybe you can answer this. Can you discuss the sense of brotherhood and camaraderie within the fraternity and how it has impacted your life?
It started with the pledge process, and everything we went through. It was a 7-month process, and when you think about, not 7 months, 7 weeks. Let me get that. Yes, 7 weeks, and this is the process that it started out 28. We wind up 21. Hey, some programs is 7 months.
I've heard.
Y'all been heard of it.
It might not be right, but I wind up with 21 brothers that I didn't know, doing that process, and we got to know each other, and that was the greatest experience of all. And to this day, we are still close. As a matter of fact, my roommate, LB, gave my son his middle name.
Wow.
We was just that tight, and the support that has existed over the years, being able to provide the assistance that's needed, it's invaluable. It's invaluable, and it has taught me how to deal with other people, outside the circle, whether it's outside the Omega circle or inside the Omega circle. It teaches you how to deal with people, and that's what's been really, really good. And I kind of mentioned this earlier about my professional career. How to treat people. You treat them all the same. And you don't have to like people to get along with them. You don't have to like people to work with them, but you do have to create that respect where you can interact with each other.
Yeah, because it's one thing, growing up with siblings and learn how to manage those different personalities, but you guys are still growing up under the same roof, getting the same values and stuff. But through Omega, you're coming close and you're building relationships with people from all different walks of life, and you got to learn to coexist. And I think that's a great, skill to have when you go over to the corporate world, the professional world, and things like that.
Yeah, and it's about keeping your perspective, because we got a lot of great men that is in Omega making positive changes internationally throughout society, religion, all phases. And sometimes you can get inspired, but sometimes you can get a little big-headed about it too.
Yep.
So it's about keeping your perspective and being able to rely on those resources and those people.
Right.
Mario.
Oh, I thought I had to kind of answer that with.
That's what I was going to say. I thought
it's the same thing. It's just really just you're right when you think about that bond that you established with some guys that you hadn't encountered. It was one guy, Keith, my three on my line. I mean, we went to high school together, played football together, so we knew each other. But the rest of them, I just met those guys. Other than Chubby, we went on a trip together, but he went to a different high school. But just that bond you create with those guys to the point that just 2 weeks ago it was our 30th, man. We all on FaceTime talking to each other, and we in different parts. One in Atlanta, one in Tuscaloosa, one in Cleveland, Ohio, one in Charlotte. We had to talk to each other though, and we made sure. And then when somebody went on the call, we texted them like, "Man, why you ain't on this call?" Because that's a bond that we have, and that's a friendship that will last forever. Forever. It would never be broken for any reason. And so, that's one of the things that, again, I love about it.
Right.
And then one quick thing is the cultural and geographical differences that we came into with, we had I'm Midwest, had a brother from Chicago, had some brothers from West Tennessee. And, back then, there was a little bit of the north, south, you country, you city, and all of that. But some kind of way during that process, it had to mesh together. Yeah. Because we are one.
And it's crazy to think about the people who are so near and dear to you now. Like, you couldn't imagine life without them, but there's probably a 0% chance you would come across this person and build a relationship if it weren't for Omega.
That is true.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Look, I can't stand the brass. But I love y'all though.
It be like that sometimes. And that's the thing. That's the great thing you learn. Is like Ursula said, how to work with people through these moments, because it sounds like, oh, I want to wring your neck, but it's not right. And then you got to take that over to the corporate world, because that costs you your job now. So it teaches you patience and your people skills and stuff like that.
So for you two as leaders of men in both, city politics, national politics, and teachers and leaders of men, like how has the fraternity, I guess, shaped your views in community service and philanthropy?
For me, it's important, especially as an educator. That was one of the things that, especially as an undergrad, we really tried to work towards and try to, get away from the idea that, all we did was just, we loud, we partied, we hopped, we did all this. But we were really working in the community. We were doing things on campus, working in the community. We would have, I remember as an undergrad, we would throw a Halloween party for the kids that lived in this house. They were Orange Grove students, but they lived together in this house out in Avondale. We would throw a party. And again, organizing that party, we would have games, we had the ring toss, we had the balloon pop, we had all this, but we had to gather all that stuff together, bring it to this one house, and then we had to run it. And then we had, they had, a food restriction, so we left the food stuff to them. We did buy a cake, and we asked them, what could it be? But we would do this every year. I know we did at least 3 years in a row when I was there. But, it was really important because for me, kids were valuable to me, the fact that, because I realized that, if somebody is not molding, somebody is molding them. If we're not molding them in the right way, somebody's going to be molding them in a different way. Yep. And so for me, it was really important because even before, I think, had I pledged then? Yeah, I had pledged then. I used to tutor at a group home. It was up in North Chattanooga, because I realized that these kids needed somebody that was going to be there for them. And then also somebody that looked like me, because it was a boys group home and most of them in there looked like me. And so at some point in some time in their life, somebody had molded them in the wrong way. That's why they were where they were. Yeah. And so it was important for us to also, the one thing about Omega is, I don't care almost who you are, most people recognize Omega. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They might recognize us for, other reasons, but, you say that, you walk around with your jacket on, shirt on, someone, you a Q? Yeah. Everybody, you a Q? Right. You a Q? But then the thing about it, when they see the flip side of it, they see the other work that you're doing, the things that you do, that, they start seeing Omega in a different light, and you can start saying, yeah, that's not just, y'all may see those things of what we do, but we do a whole lot more. We do a whole lot more to support the community. And, for us in Omega, it's really about the next generation. It's bringing up that next generation, making sure they have what they have, whether it's, like we doing giving scholarships, whether we out there, like we have our Boys to Men mentoring program now that's really just trying to just guide and mold young minds. And so that was a valuable thing for me, especially as coming through as an educator. Because for me, I even said, coming through graduating, I wanted to work in the inner city. And my first job was at Ochinau Middle School. I was taught there 6 years, went to Howard as an assistant principal there for 3 years. So most of my career has been in the inner city where, those minds are being shaped one way or the other. So why can't I be in there shaping the mind in the right way, pointing them, saying, there's another way. You can choose whichever way you want to take, but at least you have a choice. Because if you only have this side, then you don't have a choice.
That's right.
So let me give you a choice. And then whatever choice you make is on you after that.
Yeah, it has got me to where the importance of my civic duty. And that's why I belong to a number of boards, volunteering my time and my energy. Most of them is for things like the United Way or other organizations that's geared towards helping those underserved communities. Mm-hmm. And that started with being in the fraternity. As far as, political views, I was one way one time, and now I'm another way. But essentially, I view myself as an independent, nonpartisan person because I want to maintain those things that provides integrity and means the most to me, and not for a particular party or a particular individual. So, in that way, I can help the most people. But being, working with the district, working as an undergrad, working at the grad chapter, and all the things we do, like the talent hunts and the scholarships and the food drives and the Thanksgiving baskets. I know that's essential to what we do and our purpose. As a fraternity.
Yeah, because I'll say that was my first real exposure to the fraternity. Because my mother's actually a Delta, but never really just pushed Greek life on us. Right. But my church, we would go through the inner city doing faith walks, ministering to people, and we would consistently see the bros serving in the community at the same time, doing things like Habitat for Humanity and things like that. So it's that one current that completely runs through the fraternity that all brothers really engage in. All right, so brothers, as we're about to wrap up, what advice would you give to young men considering joining a fraternity based on your own experiences and learnings?
Just try to match up with an organization, a Greek organization. Well, just match up with any organization that fits your morals and your values. Don't just participate because it's the cool thing to do or it's the cool organization to do. Try to think long term. And that was one of the things that I saw when I got involved with Omega and eventually got accepted to pledge was its history. The men who have come through there and the accomplishment that the fraternity has had. And no matter what that organization is, look within yourself and make sure it matches your values and your personal goals in life. Gotcha.
Mario?
Kind of the same thing, make sure the organization fits you and who you are and the values that you bring and the talents that you bring. We've had this conversation a lot. Everybody can't be an Omega.
No, sir.
And Omega is different in a lot of ways. And I know people see, the outside stuff, but even within and running Omega, you got to be a little tough skinned. all the way through, not just hanging out. You got to be tough skinned in meetings because, everybody's passionate about their thing. And sometimes, that passion comes out kind of harsh in a way. But, it's kind of like I see this, when you see lawyers battling out in court, they going at each other. They saying this and coming at them this way. But then at the end of the day, they at the bar having a drink together. and I think that's how it is in Omega, really, when you think about it. The brothers can, different situations, they can be going at each other, be at each other's throat. But then it's kind of like, it's kind of like the scene. We say scene, it's over with. And we go, it's all love at that point in time. And so, and I just think about any organization that has, its way of handling things and doing things. You really got to know what you're walking into and making sure that that's, what you can vibe with. Like we say, and one thing about, I guess, the Divine Nine that's different sometimes than the other Greek organizations and other organizations, we say it's for life.
Yes, sir.
And we transition from undergrad to grad. A lot of, the other Greek organizations, they don't necessarily transition from undergrad to grad. It's undergrad, and then I'm going about my life.
They'll network and stuff, but they don't have the structure.
That we have to have these organizations. And so, when we say for us, we all, we heard, everybody heard, Q South 5 to the day I die. And really it is. I mean, it's in my heart, it's in my blood, it's what I'm going to do. And I'm always going to be there for Omega. Even in my death, I'm going to be there for Omega. And so the thing about it is anybody looking to join a Greek organization, and especially if you're looking to join any of the Divine Nine, you really got to find what fits you and what's, who you are and how you are. Not just because it's cool or, I like their colors and stuff like that, because you can
or you got a buddy in one of the organizations.
Right. Because, I've seen friends, one go one way. I got two dudes, these guys that go to my church, they twins. One is in one organization, one just joined Omega.
I know twin sisters like that.
And so the thing about it, but they also have different personalities. Even though they're twins, they have different personalities. And so what fits one doesn't fit the other. And I think that's what everybody has to do. You got to find what fits you, because if not, then you're going to go in, and once you're in, you're not going to be happy, and then you're not going to participate. You're going to be going, and nobody's going to see you.
Another thing is to stay true to yourself when you make that decision.
Yeah. Right.
Don't try to conform, because that's the one thing that can get you in trouble, because, you are who you are.
Right.
But who you are should benefit yourself, God, yourself, your family, and the life that you want to live. And if that can be brought all together in making a decision to be part of a fraternity or sorority, then that's the way it should be. But stay true to yourself.
And that's a great thing, because, a lot of people have this misconception of us that we're a monolithic group. Everyone's the same. We all act the same, think the same, like the same things. But I think it's the variety that's within Omega that makes it so great. So we need everyone to stay true to yourself. You don't feel like you have to fit any type of stereotype with any organization. Just continue to be you.
Because that's what makes us so great.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right. Man, what a great discussion. Man, I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Man, it was lovely.
I love my brothers.
Glad we get into the discussion that we had before we started.
we gotta hit stop and record. Yeah, we appreciate y'all for coming and joining us today on the Purple and Gold Table Talk, Kappa Iota edition. Boys to Men, go check it out. YouTube, Instagram, it'll be there. Find it.